This is the regular quarterly meeting for the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission on Tuesday, January 26, 2021. And I call this meeting to order at 9:30 a.m. And before we get started and call the roll, we're going to have one member I know that's missing, and that's Commissioner Chobanian. He resigned due to a job conflict, and I think we'll all agree that he served us well and did a great job while he was with us, and expressed his affection for the whole commission and what it stands for and what it does. So with that being said, Executive Director Lawrence, if you will call the roll for attendance.
Commissioner Lee
Here.
is present. Commissioner Galvin
Present.
is present. Commissioner West
Here.
is present. Commissioner Fox
Here.
is present. Commissioner Kramer
Here.
is present. Commissioner Jackson is absent. Commissioner Melton
Here.
is present. Commissioner Murray Commissioner Murray is present. I just can't hear him right now. Commissioner Norton
Here.
is present. Commissioner Vaughn
Here.
is present. Commissioner Levy
Here.
is present. Commissioner White is absent. Commissioner Evans is absent. Commissioner Barker
Here.
is present, and Chairman Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have 14 members present. You have a quorum.
Very
Hey,
good.
Denise, Commissioner Evans is here. For some reason, my phone did not unmute, but I am present.
I apologize. Thank you, Commissioner Evans.
Okay. I think, Denise, you have a meeting notice that you need to read.
Yes, sir. I need to read the notice for the record. This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website, included as part of this year's meeting calendar since November 12, 2020. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website since January 21, 2021. The meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website.
Okay. We've got a statement of necessity from Maria Bush, General Counsel.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commission members. Tony Glandolf, Chief Counsel with the department. I'll be serving as the program attorney for Maria today. She has a conflict with another board. So the statement is this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission, which is taking place by electronic means utilizing WebEx teleconference application on today, Tuesday, January 26, 2021. Notice that this meeting was properly posted on the board's website. There is not a physical quorum present, and a statement of necessity will be read into the record and filed with the Tennessee Secretary of State's office as required by statute, pursuant to Tennessee Code 844-108B2, which states if physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting governing body, in order for a quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that the necessity exists. That determination must include a race citation of the facts and circumstances on which it is based. And further, Tennessee Code annotated 844-108A3 defines necessity as a matters to be considered by the governing body that a meeting require timely action by the body, that physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the period of time requiring action, that participation by a quorum of the members by electronic or other means is necessary. The purpose of this meeting is to attend a teleconference for its regularly scheduled meeting of the commission. Due to the COVID pandemic, there are safety measures in place to not have a physically present quorum of the Motor Vehicle Commission, all boards under the department. That's also supported by the governor's recent executive orders. And as such, this meeting will be taking place via quorum via electronic means, and all voting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We need to adopt the agenda for the commission meeting. Do we have a motion on that?
So moved. Commissioner
Second.
We've got a second.
Melton, second.
Norton.
Did you get that, Denise? Great. Any further discussion? All those in favor, if you'll do the roll call vote. Denise, thank you so much. You're on mute.
Apologies, my computer is just not cooperating. The motion is to adopt the agenda.
Yes.
The motion was made by Commissioner Vaughn, seconded by Commissioners Melton and Norton. Commissioner Levy
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner West
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner White is absent. Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Melton
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Lee
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Barker
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Fox
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Galvin
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Norton
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Jackson is absent. Commissioner Kramer
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Evans
Aye.
votes aye. And Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the agenda is adopted.
Thank you very much. All of us were emailed the minutes from the October 2020 quarterly meeting. And what's your pleasure on the minutes, on adopting the minutes?
Commissioner Norton, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes for the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission that took place on November 11th, 2020.
Commissioner Lee seconds.
Any further discussion? And if you'll do a roll call vote, Executive Director Lawrence.
The motion is to adopt the amendment, the minutes from the November 20th commission meeting. Commissioner Levy
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner West
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Melton votes aye. Commissioner Lee
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Barker
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Fox
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Galvin
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Norton
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Kramer
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Evans
Aye.
votes aye. And Chairman Roberts
Aye.
votes
Just
aye.
for clarification, we have, minutes from October 2020, and also the special call meeting in November. Did we do both at the same time?
I believe we just voted on the November 20th meeting minutes. Just
Okay. All right. That takes care of business.
we need a motion and a second on adoption of the October 20th minutes.
Okay. Well, I was trying to do the October one first, but that's okay. I think we jumped to November somehow. Anyway, so we'll do November 20th. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Commissioner West.
Mr. Fox second.
Any further discussion? If Executive Director Lawrence will call the roll.
Okay, the motion is to adopt the minutes from the October 20th, 2020 meeting. The motion was made by Commissioner Levy and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Levy
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner West
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Melton votes aye. Commissioner Lee
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Barker
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Fox
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Galvin
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Norton
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Jackson. Oh, I'm sorry, is absent. Commissioner Kramer
Aye.
votes aye. Commissioner Evans
Aye.
votes aye. And Chairman Roberts
Aye.
votes aye. The minutes from the meeting of October 20th, 2020 have been adopted.
Chairman
Okay.
Roberts, I forgot to let you know that I actually need to log out after the director's report. I've got another engagement.
No problem.
Hopefully that.
Thank you. Do we have approval for the minutes? What's your pleasure on the November 2020 special call meeting?
I believe we did those first, so now we are done with the minutes.
We're done? Okay, all right. As long as we're done with it, that's great. We've got now next, salesperson, dealer appeals, and, appearances. And I believe first on the list is Darren Michael Wilson from Lance Cunningham Ford in Knoxville. Are you with us?
Now, this is Lance Cunningham with Mr. Williams and Mr. Letourneau, which is our HR representative from the Ford dealership in Knoxville.
Okay. So, Mr. Wilson, would you like to address us at this time?
Yes, sir. Thank you for giving me a chance to appeal it. I just want to say I really appreciate a second opportunity and a chance to show you guys that I can do the right thing.
Commissioner Vaughn, I'd like to ask a few questions. The issues that you've had in the past, have you made restitution?
Yes, ma'am, I had.
Have you been in any trouble since that happened?
No, ma'am.
And which dealership? I'm so sorry. Could you repeat which dealership you're applying for?
Lance Cunningham Ford, Knoxville, Tennessee.
No further questions.
Anyone else?
Commissioner Norton, I'll ask a question. So it looks like you were charged of burglary and theft, shoplifting. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened and what motivated you to do it?
I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery since 2014. And I had dealt with opiate addiction, and I got clean November 25th of 2014. Since then, have stayed out of trouble.
So when you say you've been in a recovery program, is that an ongoing maintenance program that you're currently involved in?
No, I did go through a program though. Yes, sir.
So how's that recovery program going? I mean, if that's what drove you to this act of crime, I mean, what makes us think you're not going to do it again?
I stay around certain people who try to help me stay on the right path. I haven't had any trouble. I haven't used or anything in almost 7 years now. I've lost a desire, and I don't want to live that way anymore. So I'm more scared of it than being scared of using it again. I just don't want to live like that no more. So that's my biggest thing.
Understood. That's all the questions I have.
Erica, did we skip letting you talk to us about this case?
I would have to take that.
Can you hear me, Erica?
Mr. Chairman, from legal's perspective, I would be the one talking to the commission about that today. Would you like me to?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. No worries. So again, Tony Glandorf, Chief Counsel for the commission, and so members, you do have a packet in front of you, which was the application and the documentation that was provided here to you all, and there's an analysis documentation that we created for this application based on Mr. Wilson's information that he provided. We do it as a part of the Tennessee law called the Fresh Start Act, and there's two things that we do. One is we have to determine first whether or not the crimes committed were crimes involving moral turpitude under that definition, and then second to determine what, based on 6 factors in the Fresh Start Act, whether or not the commission would have the discretion to deny a license based off of this. And then the analysis as to whether or not it should be approved or denied is up to you all for discussion. So if you have that documentation in front of you, I won't read it verbatim, word for word, because it just relays some of that information. You can see on page 2 the criminal statutes and then the crime descriptions that were submitted that we've already just discussed with Mr. Wilson, which was the theft of shoplifting, the robbery. There was also a driving under the influence and the simple possession. And in itself, regarding whether or not it is moral turpitude, our analysis is yes. Theft and robbery are crimes involving moral turpitude, which is what the commission statute require us to look at, whether or not it was moral turpitude. So that is a yes. So the next part of the analysis that is to take the facts provided regarding this into the 6 Fresh Start Act factors involved, and I'll walk us through that. Also, just to back up, is that there's a 5-year look back on the latest state of the probation, parole, or the release, and that is 2023. So the commission, under its statute, has the authority to deny based on moral turpitude and on also the 5-year look back. But now we have to go to the Fresh Start Act to comply with that. And so the first factor is whether or not the conviction directly relates to the applicant's fitness. Because this the robbery is a Class C felony in and of itself under the statute, does indicate that there's a rebuttable presumption in the favor that it does affect the applicant's fitness within the profession. And then the second one is the serious nature of the crime. We have to look at that, and then the length of sentence for the crime. And so we said earlier, it's theft by shoplifting and robbery. And then the sentence was what for the document provided. It was 6 years for the most recent one. And then we look at the nature and between the crime and the purpose of regulating this profession. And the purpose is to protect consumers from unscrupulous dealers and or deceptive acts. And so we looked at that. And so the crimes that are involved here are crimes that show a lack of honesty at the time that they were committed. So that does fit within that model. And then the last, getting to some of the last ones, whether or not there's a relationship for the capacity and fitness required to perform those duties and discharge responsibilities within the motor vehicle dealer industry. And so the commission could make a determination that those 2 acts, specifically the theft by shoplifting and robbery, do have a strong relationship to working with consumers who have a disadvantage generally at the time that they purchase motor vehicles from a dealer and are susceptible to being influenced by those who would not be honest to them. And so the last 2, we have to determine whether or not there's been rehabilitation. We didn't receive any documentation for rehabilitation, but I believe you just had the discussion with Mr. Wilson there about his acts and what he's done since the time. And then the last thing we look at is whether or not there's any federal laws or requirements underneath this, and there are not any. So just after walking through that, the bottom line is that the commission has the discretion to deny based on those factors if you feel that that is the direction or discretion that you want to go, but you're not compelled to do so whatsoever. So I'll leave you all to either ask me questions or have further discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any more questions for Mr. Wilson?
Commissioner Galvin, I got a couple for Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson, one, how long you been with Lance Cunningham, and why do you want to be a salesperson? And my second question goes to Mr. Cunningham. Why do you think he's a valuable person in your organization for him to become a salesperson?
Go ahead, your first.
My dad worked at Lance for years. I grew up around here, and my dad, he gave me a good life, me and my brother a good life. I just want to be able to provide that type of life for my family also. And I know I had the opportunity to do it here.
Okay. And the dealer, Lance?
Did you bring anybody with you, Mr. Wilson?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We couldn't hear
Did
you.
you bring anyone with you as a character witness, or somebody would like to address us on your behalf?
Yeah, I'm Lance Cunningham, and I'd like to do that also.
Yes, thank you.
Would you like me to do that now?
Absolutely.
Okay, Lance Cunningham, been in business for a little over 30 years. Dwight Wilson, his father, was a legend here in town, worked for me for over 20 years until his diabetes and his eyesight no longer would permit him to work for me. Sold cars for many years, worked into management for many years. Petey is the wife She is a 30-plus year State Farm, has her own agency here in town. So I've known the family for that long. Done business with the family with insurance. And the other son has been very successful. He's in the insurance business with his mother. Looks like Petey is going to be soon to retire and turn that business, Petey Wilson Allstate, or State Farm, I'm sorry, over to her other son. So background in Knoxville is extremely strong with the last name Wilson. Many customers. Before Dwight came to work for me, he worked at the Lincoln Mercury store up the street, and they went out of business, and then he came down to work for me. So many years of customers. They loved him, and obviously this is one of my first times in one of these type of meetings, but we all have to understand if someone deserves a second chance, I definitely support this person.
Well, thank you for addressing us. Any other questions from commission members?
One quick question, Commissioner Norton. Mr. Cunningham, thank you for your commitment for 30 years being in our industry. My question is to you, sir, do you have a ongoing drug testing program of any sort, or do you have confidence that at any given time that Mr. Wilson's not going to be using drugs?
We do random drug testing. We do drug testing prior to coming to work here. We do a full background check on the individual. One reason why we're sitting here today. I have to approve it internally with our corporation to bring him on board, as well as hopefully you will do that today. Secondly, something I just might want to add at this point in time as support, as we talk about support this morning. Dwight will be on a team. I'm sorry, Dwight, Mr. Wilson, I think it was dad. Mr. Wilson will be on a team of about 6 to 8 salesmen. That team has a sales manager directly over that team that helps the salesman pretty much cradle to grave with every deal when the customer sits down and attempts to purchase a car. And then there's another level of management that's over that manager, which is the 2 GSMs, which manage the desk as penciling the deal, structuring the deal. So he's going to have 2 direct supervisors over him, hourly and daily.
Very good.
And here's the other thing too. If he's not performing and selling, the adequate amount of cars in the right way, then he won't be employed here anyways.
Thank you. And anybody else? Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the sales license, and I feel comfortable with saying that because of the supervision, the dealer's experience, and restitution being made.
Thank you.
Commissioner Galvin, I second the motion.
Any further discussion? If Executive Director Lawrence will call the roll for the vote.
Okay, the motion is to grant licensure to Mr. Wilson. It was made by Commissioner Vaughn and seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans? And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the motion passes to grant licensure to Mr. Wilson.
Okay, thank you. And next we have Hank Barr from Rucker's Auto Sales in Nashville. Are you here?
Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deserves a hug.
Is Mr. Barr with us?
They're on mute.
If you can get them to take that mute button off, we can get started.
Mr. Barr?
Mr. Barr, are you with us? Please hit your mute button at the bottom.
It looks like he is unmuted.
Okay.
Maybe they can't hear us.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll see Mr. Barr right there. Maybe it's their computer is on mute, not just this app. I don't know.
Wave if you can hear us, Mr. Barr. We've got audio problems.
Tony, if you don't mind, while we're waiting on them to figure it out, could we get some background on Mr. Barr?
I can. We can do that. Commission members looking at Mr. Barr's application, you have a document in front of you as part of your packet that was provided to you all from legal that does the fresh start analysis on this application. So I'll go through that quickly as we did before. We'll start on page 2, and our first question is determine whether or not these acts were actually moral turpitude within the statutory definition. And there were 4 convictions that were listed there. 3 of those are moral turpitude, which is I see on the bottom of page 2, burglary of autos, which there was 4 counts, theft over $10,000, and aggravated burglary. The types of convictions, they range from a Class A misdemeanor down to a Class C felony for the aggravated burglary, and then a Class E felony for theft over $10,000. On the 5-year, looking at the 5-year analysis, reach back, the latest date of release parole or probation is 2024, adding 5 years. The commission has, under its statute, the ability to deny on those all the way until 2029. So looking at this, our analysis as whether it is moral turpitude is yes, because of the burglary, the theft. Those are convictions that that include moral turpitude. So the commission has the authority to deny based on its statutes. Then we have to go to the Fresh Start Act analysis. And so there are 6 factors in there, similar to that I did earlier, and I'll go through those. The first one is on the whether or not the conviction involving moral turpitude relates to the applicant's fitness. Because there is convictions of a Class C felony, then there is a rebuttable presumption that the commission may deny on that as the statute lays out, because it is a Class C felony in there. And so then we go on the further factors out there. The nature and seriousness of the crime, as we showed earlier, burglary of auto 4 counts and theft over $10,000 and aggravated burglary are crimes serious and which have significant seriousness to them, that the applicant will be dealing with members of the public as part of the profession. They'll be trusted with sensitive consumer information, money, and as such, the past convictions may indicate the applicant may have an issue regarding misuse of the trust of the consumer. The length of the time of the sentence was the most recent one was for 9 years, which concluded in May of 2011 for the actual sentence. Now we look at the nature of the crime and that of the business of regulating motor vehicle and dealing with consumers. The nature of those crimes do show, as I've been stating, a lack of honesty in relation to being able to trust them with the property of others. And then the fourth one is whether or not their ability to discharge the responsibilities and duties within the motor vehicle profession. And because of those counts of burglary of autos, the theft over $10,000 and aggravated burglary do have a strong relationship with their ability, capacity, fitness to perform those duties. as a conviction relates to the lack of honesty at the time that they were committed. As I've been saying, they will be working with directly with the consumers of the public. The next is question of rehabilitation. We have not provided any actual documentation on rehabilitation. I imagine that's information you can receive when speaking with Mr. Barr in just a few minutes. And then there are no known applicable federal laws to this application or to those crimes. And basically, our recommendation, legal says that you all do have the discretion to deny the license if you so have similar concerns regarding those and determine that that is the course that you would like to go. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindorf. Do we have Mr. Barr on the communication now? Do we have you? Can you hear us? I know I can see you, but I can't hear you. Looks like you're muted. There you go. Looks like, great. Could you hear Mr. Lindorf?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to address us and talk to us about your, your convictions and your past and things of that sort? I know you're applying to get your license, so if you don't mind addressing us.
All right. So, I guess for the most part on the conviction is just, they're old, over 10 years old. I was a kid when everything happened. Put myself in the wrong place, wrong people. I've moved on from that. I've had different careers in different fields, been promoted high in companies as far as, for my background. I've helped run offices, businesses, stuff like that. I want an opportunity to do something different. And, I've worked with Mr. Stillwell here for going on 6 months now. And we think it would be for me to try this.
Okay. Members of the commission, any questions for Mr.
Commissioner
Barr?
Vaughn, I have a few questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us more about exactly what happened and what the convictions, more details, please?
Let's see. So I had a theft over $10,000, which was I was with some guys and we ended up joyriding in a car, and they ended up damaging the vehicle. So it got charged with theft over $10,000. We paid off the restitution on that. Auto burglaries was just breaking into cars that were locked. Let's see. And then the aggravated burglary was going into a garage that was connected to someone's house. Wasn't a violent crime or anything like that. I don't know. Is there any specific question?
So it was not just all in one day. It was several different convictions. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It happened when I was 18 and 19.
Okay. And so you are making restitution still, is that correct? Or you've already made it completely?
Yeah, so the restitution started out, I think it was like close to $16,000. And last I paid on it, I think it's under $5,000 now. It's close to the $4,000 mark. So I've almost got that completely paid off. I've almost finished my sentence. I had 16 years total. I served 6. I've been out for over 8 years now.
Are you still associating with the people that you were arrested with?
No, ma'am.
Also, it was related. It said drug paraphernalia. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was a drug paraphernalia, but I haven't done drugs in a long time, so.
Okay, so not still an ongoing issue. Okay.
No.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Norton, question: can you give us some most recent employment history? Last job, how long you were there, and why you left?
Oh, okay. So last job I had, I was working with landscaping. That was just kind of like a short-term thing from when I moved back from Knoxville. I worked at a company called Brand Safeway. I was there for almost 5 years. I started as a warehouse worker, got promoted to warehouse lead, then was promoted to assistant operations manager, where they relocated me out to Knoxville. I ran inventory specialist out there for almost 2 years. Really good at that company. Never had no problems. Ended up parting ways to come back to be closer to family and everything along that.
That's my only question.
Okay.
Commissioner Galvin, I got a question for you, Mr. Barr. With all the previous jobs that you had, the comment you made earlier was I want to try this. When you say try this, that means you just want to try to be a salesperson at this particular area. What makes you want to be a salesperson? Because you tried all these other jobs, but now you want to try this. I mean, how do I know that this is going to be something that you're going to do for years going forward?
So when I was in Knoxville working at the scaffold company, I started doing inside sales, just small inside sales, helping customers lead along that, pushing them to it. And it drew my interest to it. And sales has always been something that I wanted to try and something that I wanted to do. And then when I came out here, I've been looking to pursue getting into a car dealership to work. This was the second place I've tried to apply, and Mr. Stillwell gave me an opportunity. I've been working with him, been doing marketing for him, pushing, to get more clients into the, facility to look at the cars. For me, I like to talk to people. I like to, build relationships, things along that nature. I just feel like it would be good for me.
Okay, can we hear from your boss?
Yes, sir.
Can you state your name?
John Stillwell.
Okay. Well, please address us.
As far as the hiring of Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay. So, when I first initially come in contact with Hank, it was through the internet. We put an application out there for him, for anybody. Out of like 10 or 15 applications, he stood out the most. He's very personable. I can tell him one thing or, direct him in a certain way, and he goes over and beyond. He does exceptionally well with the people that we talk to. Him just standing behind me, when I talk to customers or whatever, I believe this is a field that Hank will succeed in from this day forward. I mean, if you give him the opportunity, I believe he'll really be an asset to us.
How long have you known him?
Just 5 or 6 months now.
Okay. Any other questions from commission members? Any recommendations on the license?
This Commissioner.
Oh, go ahead. Ronnie, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this Commissioner Fox, I'd make a recommendation we give him his license.
Second.
Mr. Melton, I
Barnes.
second it.
Executive Director Lawrence, did you get those motions? And second?
I did. The motion is
Call the roll.
The motion is to grant licensure to Mr. Barr. The motion was made by Commissioner Fox and seconded by Commissioners Vaughn and Melton. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans? And Chairman Roberts
Aye.
votes aye. Mr. Barr, your license will be granted and you will be receiving an email from the commission.
All
Mr.
right,
Barr,
thank you.
congratulations to you. As Mr. Wilson before you, I like to always say that, and hope you'll serve our industry well.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time.
Okay. We got Ryan Lewis, Lewis Motor next. Mr. Glandorf, would you like to address us about this?
I will, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. We're looking at the application of Mr. Lewis here. You should have documentation in front of you that shows our analysis that we did on that. We'll start out as the others on page 2. We'll look at the moral turpitude analysis and whether or not 5 years have passed in order to give the commission discretion to deny. The convictions that we have listed here include 3, which the first is facilitating attempted second-degree murder, which 3 counts of that, reckless endangerment with having a deadly weapon involved, and also possession of a weapon with intent to employ an offense. Those convictions range from a Class E felony on the facilitation conviction to a Class E felony on the reckless endangerment, and then there's also Class A misdemeanor on the possession of the weapon. The 5-year analysis shows that the latest date of release, parole, or probation is 2020. And so 5 years beyond that is 2025. Based on that, on those crimes above that we listed, they do constitute crimes involving moral turpitude, and 5 years have not passed since the latest date. Therefore, based on the commission statute, you all do have the discretion to deny based on those convictions. However, we must also go through the Fresh Start Act, and you have required to do an analysis on that to determine whether or not those convictions would directly relate to the business of the motor vehicle industry. And so we'll go through those 5 factors. The first thing that we do is determine whether or not it directly relates to the applicant's fitness to practice within that occupation. Because the facilitation of attempted second-degree murder was a Class C felony, the statute says that there's a rebuttable presumption in favor of the commission to deny the license. Then we go down, and there are 6 factors that we will go through to look more in particular as to whether these relate to the motor vehicle industry. And the first question is the nature and seriousness of the crimes for which the person was convicted. And so the conviction of the facilitated attempted second-degree murder is in and of itself a serious and significant crime, as the applicant will be dealing with members of the public, and this crime that was indicated here is one against individuals. The second is the length of time since the commission of the crime. It's 12 years has passed since the crime occurred, so that was in 2008. So we're at 2000, and well, it's almost 13 years now. So it's February 2008. So we're getting on probably closer to 13 years now. And then the third is the relationship between the nature of the crime and the purpose of regulating the profession. So the nature of that crime is an offense against individuals. Their offenses to the personal safety of individuals. The motor vehicle industry and the commission is charged with regulating to protect consumers from unscrupulous individuals and to guard them against frauds and impositions. And so the nature of this crime, it's possibly related that the applicant lacks the appreciation to other individuals and the ability to control themselves from taking advantage of individuals and to use good judgment to consumers. So that is in favor of denial if you so choose. And then the fourth is we look at the relationship between the crime and the ability and the fitness required to actually perform the duties discharged in the occupation and the profession. And so looking at that, the relevant conviction does have a strong relationship on the ability, capacity, and fitness required to perform the duties and discharge those because the conviction directly relates to a lack of physical safety for individuals and the consumer because consumers and individuals that motor vehicle dealer licensees deal with on an individual basis that could put them in potential harm's way. We did not receive evidence of rehabilitation on the documentation that was given to us. However, you have the opportunity to ask the applicant about those matters. And there was no federal statutes out there that would relate to this for consideration. Based on all of that above, the Motor Vehicle Commission does have the discretion to deny the application if you so see fit, based on my analysis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to address us at this time?
Yes, sir, if I may. I'd like to appreciate y'all for giving me a chance to come on here. I do want to say, I know it sounds horrible and it was a bad situation. I'd been 18 for 2 weeks. I got into it with friends, just really young, immature. I was driving a car. My friend shot at the car next to us. Because it had multiple people in there, I was charged with multiple charges. I did serve 9 years. I got out in 2007, March 2017. I started working here at Carlock Nissan of Jackson as a detail guy, just washing cars. I've been here since I've been home. While I finished my parole, restitution, everything's paid. I've done everything I possibly can. While incarcerated, I took every class possible. I have like 1,000 hours of anger management, and any kind of class that they offered, I took. Done everything I can to better myself. I'm a notary public. I do volunteer work in this town. For 2 years now, I've been management. I've been a GSM here at Carlock Nissan. I run every aspect of it for the last year. Buy every used car for this dealership, another dealership. I handle our wholesales for 4 dealerships. I handle finance, title work, everything. I had a goal. I did everything I could. I tried to make the best of a bad scenario that I put myself in. I had a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and a 5 year goal to get into real estate. I now have 2 rental properties. I own my house. I have a 2-year-old son. I'm married. And I want to build for my family. I don't want to get rich. I want to have something to give my child when he gets older. And this is the last step, is to be own my own dealership and not work for somebody else. I want to own my own thing and be something to be proud of them for. I mean, I'm happy to do whatever's needed. I do appreciate y'all's chance. My opportunity. Like I said, I know y'all granted me my sales license. I don't know if all my certificates are still in there, but I'm happy to send more from that if need be. I just want a chance to prove myself. Whatever I need to do, I will.
Any questions for Mr. Lewis?
Commissioner Vaughn, I have a few questions. Have you had any complaints filed against you with the Motor Vehicle Commission?
No, ma'am.
Before? Do you fully understand the laws of the state of Tennessee and the Motor Vehicle Commission?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Have you been in any trouble since all of this occurred and that you've been
No,
out?
ma'am. No, ma'am. I've never even had a speeding ticket since. Zero trouble.
Are you still associating with the people that you were with when this happened? No further questions.
Any other members?
I think my, sorry to interrupt, my old GM's on here somewhere to speak.
Well, we'll bring him on, but I just want to make sure that the commission members get to ask you what they want to, and then we'll move on to him.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Lewis?
Commissioner Melton, I have a question. On your app, you say that you are the speaker for the City of Jackson Troubled Youth Program. Are you still involved in that?
Yes, ma'am. It's about once every 6 months they have a get together, and I'm one of about 6 people that go and speak and just tell my story and where I'm at so far in life and try to motivate and just steer. They're all pretty much troubled, then they go to boot camp. They're going one way or the other really bad. So I just try to tell them where I came from, where I'm at now, and try to be some kind of motivation, help any way I can.
Very good. Okay, let's, you brought someone with you. Who is that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Stephen Wells.
Would he like to address us?
Yes, I would. Can y'all hear me?
We can. We can see you too.
All right. Well, good morning. Ryan has worked with me probably for the last 3.5 years. When I came to Carlock, he was simply a detail guy. And he kind of really took on the role as following me, learning from me, and developed very, very quickly. And quickly learned that he was somebody that I could trust and somebody that I could give a task to, and he would handle them very, very quickly and do them very well. I've since left Carlock probably about 6 months ago, but Mr. Lewis is a personal friend now. He's a friend of my family. He's around my children. He's someone that I trust infinitely. This is not something that I'll do very lightly. I spoke for him at his sales license hearing, and definitely am willing to put my name out for him in this instance. He's been a fine, upstanding part of my dealerships, and I trusted him with buying cars, with selling cars, with dealing with customers, making sure that we were ethically doing everything we should, morally. This is a gentleman who has worked very, very hard to get to where he is, and he's had to pay some prices, and he's been willing to pay those prices. I believe he made his restitution before it was scheduled to be completed, and was always had an exemplary record with his parole officer and everything that they asked him to do. I know that he always did everything that I asked him to do, and I think given the chance, he will make a tremendous name for himself and do everyone on the board very proud for granting him this license.
All right, commission members, any questions for Mr. Wells?
Roberts, I have a question for the staff. I'm assuming he's applying for his dealer's license. My question to the staff is, has he met all the criteria to approve his dealer's license?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the license based on having made restitution and not being in trouble with the commission before. And
Okay, thank you.
I second it. Commissioner Melton second.
Executive Director Lawrence, you get the second?
I did.
Okay.
The motion is to grant licensure as a motor vehicle dealer to Mr. Lewis. The motion was made by Commissioner Vaughn and seconded by Commissioner Melton. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Lewis, your license as a motor vehicle dealer will be granted by the commission, and you will receive an email from us giving you those details.
Thank y'all so much.
Congratulations, Mr. Lewis. Hope you'll make us proud of you.
I will. Thank y'all.
Okay. Next, Norman Baker from Nash Auto Sales in Clarksville.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Norman
Would
Baker.
you like to address us and tell us a little bit about? Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Glandorf. Will you kind of give us a little insight to this case?
I will, Mr. Chairman, and for you commissioners. And so this one is a little bit different than the ones that we've previously looked at. We've done the same analysis, but the circumstances is why Mr. Baker is before us is a little bit different. And I'll tell you why is that The Motor Vehicle Commission has a statute that says that anybody, while they are currently licensed, is convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, is required to notify the commission within 60 days of that crime. And they have within 60 days for notification and to request that the Motor Vehicle Commission have a hearing on the matter as to that moral turpitude determination. But if they fail to report that crime that they were convicted of or pled guilty to, then the statute says that their license shall be revoked. And so the revocation is built in the statute, and it's on operation of law. And so having been the attorney for the Motor Vehicle Commission for the past 11 years, this does not come up that often. And so when presented with these matters, what the tack that I like to do is to bring it forward to the Motor Vehicle Commission for you all to decide whether or not it's moral turpitude and whether or not that license is in fact revoked based on your motions and your determination, as opposed to such as legal providing that analysis to the executive director to them. And so that's something to look at today. However, to complicate it a little further, but it shouldn't be that we can't work through it, is that this was found out while Mr. Baker was renewing his license. So Mr. Baker's renewal came up recently, and that's how this was found out. And so what we decided to do, what my office recommended to Ms. Lawrence, was just a pause on the renewal so that we could bring this to you all, to the Motor Vehicle Commission, so that you can make a decision. So in my opinion, it's kind of easy to look at it one way, is that if you all determine that this is moral turpitude and you go through the Fresh Start Act analysis, you all could basically determine that this should have been something that was reported to the commission, and then statutorily say that his license was revoked at the time, and then we could end it there. Or if you all decide after hearing Mr. Baker that you believe that based on this, even if his license was revoked by statute, that you think that he should be able to continue as a motor vehicle dealer, then he could basically, in lieu of his renewal, basically be applying for a license at the same time, and he could move forward and continue to act as a motor vehicle dealer. So that's the best way that I can parse it out as to what we're doing here today to you all. So if you have any questions, Mr. Chairman, about that, I can answer those before I go into this analysis, so that everybody understands kind of where we're going.
There may be some questions from some of the commission members. So at this time,
absolutely,
Tony has put himself out there, so ask him.
Okay. So if there is already, okay, go ahead. Okay, so if there aren't any,
Jim Galvin trying to speak?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and go through the analysis.
Any questions for Tony? Okay.
Okay, so I'll go through the analysis, and then you all can speak with Mr. Baker, and then we can, if you would like to, we can circle back to what we're specifically kind of this process here to determine whether or not the commission would determine whether his license should be revoked by statute, or even so, if you could, would you all think that even if he reapplied, that you all would allow him to continue as a motor vehicle dealer despite this? So we'll go through this analysis, and then you all can speak with Mr. Baker. Again, we'll start on page 2 to look at the conviction. So the conviction is a conviction that happened in the state of Kentucky, and it's listed there. The description of the conviction is unlawful transaction with a minor in the second degree, and there were 2 counts. It's a Class D felony in the state of Kentucky. The latest date of release for probation or parole that we have was February 2020. So plus 5 years on that is 2025. As before, we'll look and determine whether or not that does constitute moral turpitude. It does constitute moral turpitude based on the definition of the statute, which I'll show you in just a moment. And 5 years has not passed. So under its statute, the commission could determine that this is in fact a conviction involving moral turpitude. which, as I said earlier, that's under the statutory reference. That's the type of crime that if it was not provided to the commission within 60 days, the license would be automatically revoked by statute. So then we look at the next six factors involved. There is not a rebuttable presumption that this conviction relates to the fitness of being a dealer because it is a Class D felony, and it's not as egregious as what the statute requires, which is a Class A, B, or C felony. And so we'll look at those Fresh Start Act analysis. And the first is looking at the seriousness of the crime for which was the conviction. So we have listed here on page, it's listed page 3 of 4, which is the definition in the statute. And then Mr. Baker does provide detail for you all to read in his letter to the commission. But it is a person is guilty of unlawful transaction with a minor in second degree when he knowingly induces, assists, or causes a minor to engage in illegal controlled substances activity involving marijuana, illegal gambling activity, or any other criminal activity constituting a felony. So that's the serious nature of the crime. So it has significance as to the serious nature of the crime. And then we look at the length of sentence. So this was the specific date of occurrence was entered. It was entered in September 9th, 2019. So that we can reasonably conclude that it was at least a year ago. It was over a year ago that this would have taken place. Maybe closer to 2 years now, but we didn't have the exact timeline based on the information that we received. And then we look at the relationship between the crime's purposes and regulating the occupations. And as you've heard me say earlier today, the Motor Vehicle Commission does protect consumers from frauds, impositions, and other abuses upon citizens. And so the nature of the crime, which is one that would show a lack of oversight and trust to people that have less that are more influenced or has less leverage than the person who commits the crime. And so motor vehicle dealers do generally have more knowledge, are more knowledgeable, and have more leverage over the consumer. So a lack of trustworthiness is something that we're looking at here. And so the next one that we look at is the relationship between the crime and the ability and the capacity required to perform the duties. So it does appear that there is a relationship between the ability and capacity and fitness to perform the duties based on the definition of the statute and the responsibilities of somebody who's applied for a motor vehicle dealer or salesperson's license based on the safety, the individual safety to consumers out there that they may be interacting with. We did not see proof of rehabilitation in the packet, but that's something that you could absolutely ask Mr. Baker about. And there are no known federal applicable laws for consideration to the commission. So based on this, if we're looking at the Fresh Start Act, it's my analysis that you all do have the discretion to deny the applicant based on that and the moral turpitude issue. So just to recap, as I said before, Mr. Baker should have provided the commission this documentation within 60 days of being convicted of it while he was licensed. That did not happen. So the statute says that the commission can take notice that the license be revoked. However, even if the license is revoked, Mr. Baker could always come back and reapply for a license before you all. And so that's kind of the quandary that we're in, since he is renewing his license or is attempting to renew his license, that you all could take notice of that this is a crime of moral turpitude that he didn't notify the commission of, and determine his license to be revoked and then deny any application that this renewal would be an application. Or you could determine that it is or is not moral turpitude, but even giving such that on reapplication, which we could consider today, that he would be granted a license. So I think we can do the same analysis that we've done before and get to the same conclusion for you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I know there was a lot of information, and we'll probably, once we talk to Mr. Baker and people that came with him, then there may be some needing to be some help from you, Mr. Glandorf, on how to word a motion to do whatever we do. Okay. But anyway, any questions at this point for Mr. Glandorf, or we can hear from Mr. Baker.
Yes,
Mr. Baker, would you like to address us?
Yes, sir, I will. First of all, I have my daughter.
Okay.
I have my daughter here, which is Ariana Baker. I have my CPA here, Miss Felicia Largan. And I have my wife, Miss Lana Baker. She's on our screen as well. And
Okay.
so first of all, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity here to present my case here and to go forward. I've made a detailed list of actually what took place and what happened. It's very lengthy, so I'm not sure if you want me to go into all that details, or do we need to ask me specific questions, or what?
Well, give us as much info as you can. I mean, give us info, but we don't want to take all day with it, but just give us the highlights of it.
Okay, so I just made a couple notes here. First off, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to present my case during this appeal session. I honestly do not know where to begin, but I will try to do so. I have been in the United States of America for 24 years, to which I performed 20 years in the Army and rightfully retired at Fort Campbell, where I now reside. I am here because of the felony conviction against me, and I'm asking you please to understand my position and what I had to do to take care of myself and my family. I was wrongfully accused of the crime against me, but the odds were stacked against me from the beginning. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place when it came down to making the toughest decision of my life. Never have I had to make such a decision that would impact the rest of my life somewhat. My daughter, who was 15 at the time, is also present with me. We all make mistakes in our lives, and I had to come to the understanding that my daughter and I will always be family, and that it was on me to mend what was broken between us. I can truly say the decision to mend things between me and my daughter is far more important than what I'm here fighting for today. I have outlined in details what took place that led to my felony conviction to the board months ago, and I'm here to ask the board to find it in their hearts to allow me to continue to pursue my dreams of what I do best and love to do. The car dealership is the only thing I know to do and love from the minute I started it in 2015. I did make a mistake by not alerting the board earlier regarding my conviction, but honestly, that was the last thing that was on my mind because of the situation I was in. My life was in jeopardy, and my freedom, and at no such point had I even given consideration to call or notify the board. I had never been in a situation like this, and mentally my thinking process was elsewhere at the time. I do understand that I should have reported it, and by not doing so brings consequences. Again, had I been in a better position to report it, I would have. I do have PTSD from being in the military 20 years, and I do try my best to work around my shortcomings and not sit at home and complain. Instead, I work 6 to 7 days a week, most times at the car lot, and it gives me peace knowing that I can still make a difference in our society today. And my contribution serving the public. It was definitely been a challenge thus far, but I have weathered it somehow. Despite the day-to-day challenges my wife and I face as small business owners, we love what we have built and the service we provide. Again, please find it in your hearts to hear our plea and allow us to continue our destiny. Thank you. And to add to that, I was locked up for about maybe 35 days or so, and then I was sent to Louisville, Kentucky, to a halfway house for over 30 more days. So I was doing a rehabilitation there. So I've only been in the car business for almost 6 years. I had no knowledge, and that's on me for not doing the research, but I had no knowledge that if something ever happened, that I had 2 months to report it. So that's just something that I just totally wasn't aware of. But when I started the car lot, I didn't know what I was doing, so I basically reached out to the States and everybody else as far as information how to run a car lot. So, you know, when I initially got the license 5-6 years ago, that was as far as I know. So now going through the process of renewing my license, when I was going through it, I realized that, you know, there was a question that asked about felony, and that, you know, we had to disclose all the information, which I rightfully disclosed everything in detail. So it's my apologies for not reporting it, but I had no knowledge, and that's on me for not knowing as a car dealer.
Okay, Mr. Baker, any questions from the commission members?
Commissioner Norton, I have a question. Are you currently paid up on your child support?
Yes, yes, I am. I've paid child support for almost 18 years. I have one more to go, but I'm currently paid up. There's nothing that I owe. I've never missed a child support since I've been here.
Okay.
So I have two daughters. One just finished paying child support for Ariana. She just turned 18, and the other one, she's finishing up high school. So that's the only child support I owe, but I'm current on everything.
Good.
I also owe the government. Also owe the state, Tennessee Department of Revenue. We had a glitch in our system, and it cost us almost $100,000.
But you're paying.
But I'm paying it. Right. So we've knocked it down under $50,000 within the last year. Just being aggressive, trying to take all our money that we have and pay back to the system. It was an honest mistake that we didn't catch, but we end up just, paying for it and no complaints about that.
Any other questions?
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Vaughn.
Go ahead, Commissioner Vaughn.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your actual conviction?
Right. So my daughter here, I've been in the military for 20 years and I was a very strict dad. So when I started the car lots, I had my two daughters living with me in Old Grove, Kentucky. I spent a lot of years, or not a lot of years, but a lot of time working at the car lot. So my daughter here, I was always very strict with her about her schoolwork. Very, very strict. And she was living in Jamaica for several years with my mom. And when we brought her back to the States, I told her, look, you're going to go to this new school. You just got to do your work, pay attention, and do what needs to be done. However, her being into a new school, new environment, she just got lost somewhere in that process where she started not doing her schoolwork. The teachers were calling me constantly about tardy. It was just a constant battle with her. And then every time we get her, what do you call it? Every time we get the school report, it was just horrible. And no parent would want to see that. So I was very harsh on her. I didn't hit her or anything, but I would just always threaten her, hey, I'm going to take away your gadgets, change your school clothes, the whole 9 yards. So it got so bad. It got so bad after the third school report. I brought her up in front of my face and I was really angry at her and I yelled at her and I told her to give me every single gadget. Took her off Facebook, Snapchat, everything you could imagine. I took everything away from her. So about a week after that, after I took everything away from her, she got tardy for the whole week straight. And I asked her mom to go pick her up from school one evening. And after that, they never came back home. And that night, I went to the mom's house and she said, get away from my door, you pedophile. The police are on the way. So my daughter here accused me. Obviously, she wanted to get out of my house, go live with her mom, and just didn't want to be under my rules anymore. And I'm here. She's here with me right now. So the last 3 years, her mom was about the money. I guess she seen the car lot and thought I had a lot of money and was telling people that they're going to get paid. So they end up putting me on child support, which I've had her for almost 17 years, and her mom never paid me $1. So they put me on child support and put a restriction that I couldn't see my daughter for 3 years till she turned 18. So the day she turned 18, I waited till the following day to reach out to tell her happy birthday. And just to reach out. Now she left her mom and now she's back living with me now. And my wife and my other two daughters.
Have you been in any further trouble with the Motor Vehicle Commission? Have you had any complaints filed against you, or have you had any other type of arrests or legal troubles?
No, I've never had any legal troubles in my life or anything like that. We do have complaints just like any other business, but every complaint that we've had, we've always submitted all the documents to the commissioner board and it's always came back cleared. Ma'am.
I have a question for Mr. Glandorf. To your knowledge, if Mr. Baker gets approved for renewal by this board, but he
Got a
fails
little
to,
audio problem here. Is that Commissioner West?
can you hear me now?
We're not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry about that. I have a question for Mr. Glandorf. I said if Mr. Baker is approved for renewal by this board, but he fails to make full restitution to the Department of Revenue, what are their steps to inhibit his ability to do his business if he fails to continue his restitution to the Department of Revenue?
So I just generally know that the Department of Revenue, they could start an action against him and his assets for that restitution. But if he is paying right now and he continues to pay, then I don't see why they would take an action such as that. It would be monies due and owing to them, and they'd continue to do that.
Okay, thank you.
This is Chairman Roberts. Mr. Glandorf, is there anything that will flag him that if he isn't paid the Department of Revenue that we can, withdraw his license or anything like that?
There's not a system that we have currently in place. I think Mr. Baker offered this information to the commission himself. We generally don't have ongoing discussions with the Department of Revenue that with certain dealers maybe owing monies for business taxes or
We're not
something
hearing
like that.
him. I'm not hearing anybody at this point.
Hear fine.
I can hear him fine.
Yeah, I
Okay, now.
hear you fine, Tony.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you can repeat that.
Yes, is that I think Mr. Baker gave this information to the commission himself willingly. The commission in this department doesn't have a relationship with revenue whereby they give us notification of taxes that are owing or monies that are owing to the Department of Revenue unless they failed to owe because of fraud or some kind of deceptive act. Oftentimes they will discuss that with us, but we don't. They generally don't disclose that information to us, and quite honestly, the Department of Revenue doesn't have to disclose that information to us, even if we ask. So generally, our relationship with them is that if they have a motor vehicle dealer who's committing fraud out there and they're taking action against them, they usually do notify our office, and then that's how they get on our radar. But we do not have something out there that could that we could flag with, other than as part of this entire basis, the commission could require Mr. Baker to provide some sort of documentation or accounting over some period of time. That could be something we could discuss if the commission were inclined to approve a license. Moving forward, they could require as a condition to approval that he be providing that information to us.
Very good.
As the accountant, can I say something on that?
Yes.
He does have a payment arrangement with the Tennessee Department of Revenue that automatically debits out of his bank account monthly, but we actually doubled that payment, and he has over 6 years to pay this amount, and he's already cut that amount in half within 1 year. So
Very
the
good.
only thing that would keep him from paying it is not being able to continue to operate.
We understand that. So
Yes.
anyway, we would love to hear from anybody you brought with you at this time. Mr. Baker.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, this is my first time, so I have my daughter here. My wife is there, but I wasn't aware that I was supposed to bring somebody else because I was the owner here. So I didn't
We
come.
would like to hear from anybody you brought with you, your daughter. I mean, I think
My
it's
wife.
more relevant.
My wife, if you want to say something for my daughter, does. Lana, can you hear me? I'm not sure if my wife can hear me.
She may be on mute. Yeah, she's muted.
Let me call her really quick.
Ask her to hit her mute button. Down at the bottom.
I don't think she has audio.
Oh, she doesn't? Okay.
Can you get off mute?
Tell her to unmute.
And show her picture. They're ready for her to talk. Okay, she said she can't hear and she can't see. So she can't hear.
Got audio problem.
She said, yeah, she said she can't hear and she can hardly see. Can we put her on?
You put her on speaker.
I'm not sure if I can put her on speaker and you can hear. Lana, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you ask? Can they hear her?
Okay, can we hear her?
Hearing is good. So we just need to go ahead and let her address us. Okay.
Okay, Lana. So they can hear you well. So if you can just address.
Okay. What did they ask a question?
No.
Yeah, they're just asking you. If you
Just
just
state
want to say-
your relationship with your dad.
No, she's my wife, sir.
Wife. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just talk about what you all been through. Just state as information we need to hear.
Well, we've been married for about 2 years now. I've been with him since maybe I think a year after he opened his car lot. He has really worked hard for his business. It has grown, and I've watched it grow. He has really helped the community around him. And he has served in the military as well, so he understands, people in general. Also, thank you for letting me speak. He is actually a wonderful person, and for the last couple years, we have been through a lot throughout this whole ordeal, but we managed to, bounce back. And I believe that going forward, that everybody deserves a second chance, and again, he's really a big part of the community. So that's really all I have.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Baker. Any questions for her from the commission members?
She's gonna tell you.
What?
Mr. Baker, anybody else you brought with us that wants to address us?
Yes, sure. Just go.
Hi, I'm the daughter, but I think my dad should get a second chance at this. The car lot is something that he's really passionate about, and I've watched him grow. I remember when he used to work at, I can't remember what that, and he used to come home every day. Our life was really tough. We didn't have a lot, so we survived off of what we had. He always provided for the family. Until, he started his little business. It started growing. I'm really proud of him, what he's accomplished. I'm very proud, and I do think he should get his license because he's a good person, and, he helps people, and this is something that I think he should have and should be able to continue to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from commission members?
I have a question for the staff. I just wanted to confirm that we haven't had any prior complaints or issues that are unresolved or any kind of fines or anything along those lines.
Commissioner Vaughn, I checked, and I can confirm that we had 2 minor complaints in 2020. Both were closed without action.
Any other commission members got questions? If not, do we have what's your pleasure on granting this license?
I move that we renew the sales dealer license.
I'll second Commissioner Barker.
And I got Commissioner Barker, I got your second. I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Commissioner West.
I'm sorry, Commissioner West.
No problem.
If no further discussion, Executive Director Lawrence, if you'll call the roll for the vote.
Okay, the motion was to renew his renewal application for his dealer license. The motion was made by Commissioner West and seconded by Commissioner Barker. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Commissioner Melton votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes unanimously, and Mr. Baker, you will be hearing from us electronically to finalize the renewal on your dealer's license.
And I thank everybody so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Baker. It's a privilege to get to do this in this capacity in our state.
Yes, sir. And I look forward to keep doing it. Thank you, sir.
Good deal. Okay, Executive Director Lawrence, you've got a report for us?
I do. I hope everybody's had a moment to check in your packet of information for the director's report. It looks like we had this basically represents all of the activity where we would have stood for 2020. We had about a 300 person net loss in salespeople over the course of the year, which I don't think is bad considering
No, you want
the
mute
situation
on
that we're
this.
in right now.
Just wait for you to come back up.
We reported almost 1.4 million vehicles sold in 2020, and we are in the midst of receiving all of our annual sales reports. So hopefully we will have that information for you on our next report. We have a total of $10,750 received from our disciplinary action through the period October 1 through December 31st of last year. And just a heads up, I sent everyone their conflict of interest forms. And if you haven't returned those, please do so to me at your earliest convenience. If you need to get another form, just shoot me a little note. I'll be happy to send it to you. And one last thing I wanted to mention, I hope everybody got a copy of our newsletter that went out in December called At the Wheel. We hope we're going to make this a quarterly event, and I'm going to be coming to some of you to do a little bio statement for the next issue that's coming up so we can get a little human interest piece. And that is all that I have.
Chairman Roberts, I need to leave. I'm so sorry.
Sorry about that. Did anybody hear me?
We didn't hear you. Thank you, Commissioner Vaughn.
Okay. I'm just saying we need a motion to adopt the director's report.
Commissioner Melton, I make a motion to adopt.
Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Barker.
Any further discussion? If not, if Executive Director Lawrence will call the roll for the vote.
The motion is to adopt the director's report. The motion was made by Commissioner Melton and seconded by Commissioner Barker. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
Aye.
Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox? Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Vaughn had to leave us. Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Votes aye, and Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Chairman, the director's report has been adopted.
Thank you very much. Next is legal report from Assistant General Counsels Erica Smith and Stuart Huffman.
Thank you. I just have a few changes on the legal report. Number 33, which is 2020-064-761. We have changed the decision to authorize a $1,000 civil penalty for one too many temporary tags as a second violation. Number 96, 2020-078-971. We changed the decision to authorize a letter of warning. And number 139, there's a few complaints there. This just applies to 2019-023-651. The complainant did not want to be a part of this and asked us to close this matter. So we are closing that. And that is all of the changes. Everything else remains the same.
Very good report. Very clean. And do we have a motion to accept the legal report?
Commissioner Galvin, accept the legal.
Commissioner Fox, second.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, if you'll call the roll for the vote.
This motion is to adopt the legal report. The motion was made by Commissioner Galvin and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Levy.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner West.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Melton.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Melton. Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Barker.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Fox.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Norton.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Vaughn had to leave. Commissioner Kramer.
Aye.
Votes aye, Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Votes aye, and Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the commission has voted to adopt the legal report as amended.
Thank you very much. Legislative updates. Who will do that today?
Mr. Chairman, I will be doing that today also.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for all the other members, legal counsel generally gives you all legislative updates every quarter. Our legislative session recently kicked off, and so they're in full swing of filing bills in the legislature. The cutoff date for filing is roughly early February. So I will let you know that there has not been anything that I have seen come across my desk that directly affects the Motor Vehicle Commission opening up its statutes. However, there were several caption bills, as I would call them, regarding Title 55 that have been filed that do not impact the Motor Vehicle Commission specifically, but does impact a little bit of the Department of Revenue or Safety. And so we generally what we do, because they're caption bills, meaning they can be changed during session to reflect or make amendments to potentially to the Motor Vehicle Commission statutes. We would be watching those throughout the session. So there's nothing significant to report out there that has actually been filed. I will tell you that there is language that's being reviewed for a possible bill that would be supported through the administration that would affect the Motor Vehicle Commission for some minor changes. And I will kind of just relay what those are. There is not a bill that has been filed on this yet, so I do not have a bill number with a specific language that you all could look at. But generally what it does is it clarifies that for any motor vehicle dealer who's notifying the commission of termination of a salesperson's license,
that they do so they do so in writing within 30 days. Right now, there's not a timeline on the statute for that, so within 30 days would provide them with a timeline to provide that to the administration. And then secondly, is that when a motor vehicle salesperson desires to change employment from one dealer to another, that they will submit a transfer application to the commission, and that would be in lieu of the statute now says it would be to actually submit the license, which is not what is helpful in that. So it's a transfer application. And then lastly, adding into section 114 A, which is the disciplinary actions, excuse me, which is which is the statute which goes into the disciplinary actions for all licensees, is that to require the application would allow the Motor Vehicle Commission to have disciplinary action over someone, an applicant who has failed to make available for inspection all its books, reports, or other memorandums or transactions. Basically requires them to give us all of our documents when we ask for them. And it's not just on motor vehicle dealers, it's all licensees. So that's helpful to the commission. So it's also the auctions, the dealers, and then the manufacturers and the salespersons that are out there. So not absolutely large and significant changing anything, but it does help the process of the actual running of the commission from day to day. So with that, if you all have any questions, I will answer those to the extent that I can.
Any questions at this time? If not, do we have a motion to adopt the legislative update?
So moved, Commissioner Lee.
Second, Commissioner Norton.
Any further discussion? If not, Executive Director Lawrence, if you'll call the roll for the vote.
The motion is to adopt the legislative report. The motion was made by Commissioner Lee and seconded by Commissioner Norton. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Commissioner Lee?
Aye. Aye.
Can everyone hear me? I'm having trouble.
Yes.
Commissioner
You're back
Melton?
on.
Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
The motion carries. You have adopted the legislative report.
Thank you very much. Committee reports, we have nothing in audit, nothing in the rules committee at this time. Any new business? Anything under old business? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Norton.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Fox, second.
No further discussion. Call the roll, please. Executive Director Lawrence.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion to adjourn made by Commissioner Norton and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Lee?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Fox?
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you all. Very good meeting.
Yes.
Good job, John.